Hey guys, and welcome back to another SC2 HDTV and 2D cast something. um, to kick off the PVZ series that will shortly be underway on the channel, I figured I'll cast the PVZ. Yes, this was a ladder game that I played a couple days ago, and yeah, before I really get into too much, I just want to say sorry about the long wait, the long delay in videos. It's been like 5 or 6 days now since I've posted a video on the channel, so sorry about that. I hope this game will make it up to you. I don't know, but I will be casting a lot more frequently at least. So yeah. Anyway, so let's go ahead and introduce les players. In the bottom left of Daybreak, we have myself, Blue Protoss Primetime, and in the top right, we have the Red Zerg, and that's Can You Read? I'm not sure about that. Possibly Can You Read? It's possible. Just a quick little background story on this matchup. Me and him actually literally just played on ladder, and then I guess we both searched for a game at the same time, so it put us in back-to-back games. And in that game, I will be using, or in the game that we played first, I used the builds that I will be showing you in the PVZ series that will hopefully be like 4 games long. I know the PvT and PvP series were both 5 games long, and that was a bit excessive, a bit much. So I'll try to, spew out as much information as I can during the games. Just so it's not as long, not as many games. So yeah, with all that said, it's like the game's underway, and I want to mention one more thing, alright? Sorry, but I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been watching my videos. I hope they've been helpful as much as they could be, or as much as they I don't know. I don't know, but thanks for watching. Thanks for those who subscribed. So yeah, I mean, it's giving me motivation, all right? It really means a lot, guys. But what we see here, in terms of this game at hand, is my opponent is now blocking my natural with an Evo chamber, which is very annoying. So really what you want to do in response to this is just get a cannon up and just kill it as fast as possible. Now, in case you didn't know, the hatchery does, when you cancel a hatchery that's in production, it leaves a little bit of creep behind so that you can place down an Evo chamber in its place, or a different building like a spawning pool if you wanted. And of course, since there is no creep here, the Evo chamber will slowly die on its own, but the cannon will speed that process up quite a bit. So yeah, to prevent something like that from happening, just keep probes down here. If you see a drone, have like a probe follow it to attack it, and have a probe in its path so that it can't build a building in case it tries to. Now, it's definitely difficult to do that, so I guess I'll go into this right now. If you see your opponent throwing down a hatchery where your natural is and he's not going to cancel it, your best bet in that situation is just to simply play off one base and try to do your best one base build versus Zerg. I know not many people have one. I might show you guys one of the builds that I use. It's not that great, that's why I'm hesitant to show it, but in the future I might show you guys a cool little one base build versus Zerg. That's sort of what you got to do if they build a hatchery in your natural. So, but if they build the Evo chamber, just kill it off as fast as you can, maybe with a zealot or a cannon or whatever, and then just build your nexus as soon as you possibly can. So yeah, as I was mentioning in the last game, I don't know if you were reading the chat or not, but in the last game I did the build that I'm going to be showing you. So I was telling him that I actually have a second build that I know that I like a lot, and he was doubting me on that. So as you will see, the build in the future does involve a double robo on 2 base, which you might be thinking is a little bit too much to really afford. But you'll sort of be seeing why that comes into play. So just keep that in mind for the future. Or actually, for like right now. Good timing on my part. Oh yeah. So I got 2 sentries coming over here. I do like to build 2 sentries early on. And also, another thing that actually, I can't remember if I did that or not. You know, scratch that. Scratch that. So anyway, what you see right now is I'm throwing down 2 robos right in his vision, so that he thinks the same thing is coming, and replaced with double Stargate. And when Zerg players see 2 robo, typically they're going to go for a Spire to get mutas out, which is a good response, and that's why you really don't want your opponent to see your 2 robos in case you do decide to do that. But we will see if our opponent does decide to throw down the Spire for Mutalisks or not. We will just have to wait and find out. But yeah, the layer's still on the way, so we do have some time. Time to just talk, you know? Now, he did get a Banling Nest, which is a little weird. I'm not sure why I did that. But if we look at the units tab, we'll see what he's up to in the worker count. He is well ahead in the workers, and I did not do a Zealot pressure, which is what I typically like to do in this matchup, so he's able to just freely macro as he wished. And yeah, in the last game I did, I hope I didn't miss this, but in the last game I did do a Zealot pressure, so I think I might have feigned setting out Zealots or not in this particular game. I can't remember though. So yeah, that's great. But anyway, following up the double Stargate, we have 2 more warp gates coming down, or gateways. And researching right now is air weapons level 1. Now, another thing I want to point out, as you see my Phoenix going around, is that in the last game I did get 1 Stargate, and in this particular PvZ build I do get 1 Phoenix and 1 Void Ray, so I'm only going to show 1 Phoenix, so that he thinks I'm doing the same thing. He already saw the 2 robos, and there is the Spire, as you might have seen on the production tab. And he's also going for Banling Speed, so he is going to be using the Banling Nest, which is a little surprising, but oh well, it's all good. And I will see this, so I'm also going to see the Spire, which is going to make me happy, because I'm amassing the Phoenix count, slowly and surely. Very slowly, because I'm supply blocks, but oh well. And by the way, with Phoenix, when you're doing like a double Stargate Phoenix, which is not a usual build, not a standard build for Zerg by any means, but when you do this, you will need a lot of gas to pull it off, especially since I'm getting upgrades and blink. So all I do is just get really gas to make that work. So yeah, looks like the Overlords are moving across the field, just to hide him, I guess. But here comes Can You Read, and the reason I'm showing this game is because it was pretty awesome, in my opinion at least. And I don't know if he's actually going to do something with these links or not. We will have to find out. He is making Mutalisks finally, and in the units tab he is still way ahead in the workers count. So I have definitely dug myself a hole by not taking an early third and not putting on any pressure. So our Zerg opponent has been able to do as he pleases so far. And by the way, if you look at his vision, he still only thinks 2 robos are coming down, or he didn't even wait. I don't even know if he saw the robo or not. Now that I look at his vision, I guess not. I honestly don't know what happened there. But I do have 5 warp gates down and 2 stargates, as we've seen. And here come the Phoenix from Can You Read, and I don't know why I built a cannon since I have a ton of Phoenix, but whatever. So my vision, I actually see this right now, so I'm like, oh yes, he went Mutalisks. And so here come the Phoenix, and when you're using Phoenix and you're going against Mutalisks, if you know you can kill them, just don't A move, you gotta try to fly past them. Because they have like pretty much the same speed, so you just want to like keep flying by them. And because he just lost a ton of Mutalisks, let's look at that units lost tab. Oh god, that's not good. And now here come the 12 Phoenix from the Stargates. And I don't know what he really has to respond to this. 12 Phoenix are parked outside his base, and he's not getting any Spore Crawlers. Instead, he's just going to try to make Corruptors, it looks like. And on the units tab, he has 6 more Corruptors on the way. And if we look at the minimap, I'm clearing out the 3rd base to go ahead and take that 3rd right about now, which is a pretty late expansion, but that's typically like what I like to do against Surge. And because it just doesn't have enough Corruptors here, I'm just going to camp out over his main base, over his airspace, killing everything that is in the air, which was those queens for a temporary amount of time. And he's trying to continuously reinforce his main base with Corruptors, but it just wasn't really all too quick enough to prevent these Phoenix from doing a lot of damage. And on the units tab, we do see 2 more Phoenix continuously being produced, and that's about it. And that third base is now coming underway, by the way. And after all this harassment, I was way ahead in the units lost tab, and I've actually increased that lead quite a bit more. And he still can't kill the Phoenix. This is why I hid the Phoenix, because you could just make this much of like an surprise attack, pretty much. Just catch your opponent off guard. In the upgrade department, he does have +1 armor, but I have +1 attack and +1 shield, so... one thing I want to point out, Corruptors are cost efficient against Phoenix, and they are, you know, you definitely don't want to be doing Mutalisks against Phoenix. But Phoenix actually aren't that bad against Corruptors, because I know Phoenix are focused towards light units, but if you look at their damage, they do 12 damage against, like, just any unit that's not light, because they do have 2 attacks, and Corruptors do 14 damage against units like the Phoenix that aren't massive. So, and the hit points are actually kind of even. The Corruptors do have 20 more, but, I mean, the Phoenix aren't too vastly outmatched, so it's really just a numbers game of who has more of what unit. But now I see the huge Zergling ball parked outside my main base, and I guess we missed a bit of an engagement down here, but, you know, those Phoenix were just way too cool to really stop watching, I suppose. And this stupid Overlord right here, I couldn't find this thing. It's like so late into the game. It was a little ridiculous. This spot right here, I guess I might as well point this out. On Daybreak, at least, you want to, for Overlords, your opponent will typically put one here. They'll keep one here. I guess here is a spot that is going to be pretty often used, and over here as well. But hold on to that thought for a second, or something, as we have a big swell of Zerglings coming in, and all I really have are just +3 attack upgraded Stalkers and Zealots, which should be enough to defend this, it looks like, and I'm trying to pick up the 2 Banelings that were in that army, and now my Phoenix are just overhead chilling out. But more Zealots are getting reinforced into the battle, and because these Zerglings don't have +3 armor, they will die in 2 hits to my Zealots, so they definitely are not the unit that Can You Read wants to have at this point in the game. And now we see the Phoenix flying out once again. My third base is still not done, as you saw, and my opponent is on 4 bases, so despite the huge amount of damage these Phoenix have done, and in the units lost tab, my opponent is still far behind. It really hasn't put me into the lead because my third base is just ridiculously late. And the supplies sort of show that, since I am now like 40 behind. But it looks like he's not really microing this, so I'm trying to pick off and lure his units in as I can. And Phoenix are extremely good against Mutalisks, as my opponent is now finding out, apparently. He's going to do a nice little counterattack into my third, but luckily I kept my Zealots there, and they will push that back for now. And one Mutalisk chasing these Phoenix away, like a boss. And now that I'm mining out my main and natural, I should probably start to look towards a 4th base, even though my 3rd base is just now finally being underway and set up. Looks like my opponent has a ton of Banelings over here. And although Banelings are good against Zealots, the Zealots have to be grouped up. So by sending in like 1 Zealot at a time to eat up the Baneling hits, that is cost effective. And at this point in the game, I was feeling like I should move out and try to do some damage, even though that was clearly a mistake. And I still feel like I have air superiority, so I'm going to try to engage this. And let's look at the upgrades real quick. He does still only have +1 armor, and I still only have my +1 attack and +1 shield, so still a pretty even fight in the air. Zergling attack coming in at the 3rd base once again.